Yo, what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we got a little mini banger for you, or maybe a big-ish banger, depending on how you view it, but we are in Kingdom 225, and we are hearing that there is a purge that is happening here in this kingdom, where there may only actually be about 118 to 120 players left after the kicking, the rallying, the zeroing occurs. So we're going to give you a little bit of a deep dive here and tell you kind of what's going on, why is this happening, and is this really as bad as it sounds? As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us up because it helps out a lot. So let's break this down for you by starting off with, let's just look at kind of how strong the kingdom is up front, right? So they got a couple people over 100 mil, right? You can see here from boards, they got 11 people there. If you're going, T5s, if you will, and you're, putting that, let's just say if we're just kind of going a minimum 50 mil, again, right, you can get it if you min-max shorter, and then some people will get it a little bit later, and we're talking, you get your first unlock. So they have 96 people over 50 mil. 60 mil, 55 to 60 is probably a little bit more appropriate because then at that point you're actually having some T5 units, right, more than likely. If you look at the amount, you got 64 over 60 mil. And let's look at some alliance power, right? So you got 9.6 bill, 6 bill, right? That puts you at 15.6, 2.8, you're at 17.6, 18.4 at that point. Right, and that's just with the 3. If you include this, you're at, 18.4, 19.4, 20, 21.3, right? If you're counting those. If you count 6 and 7, you're at 22, maybe a little bit more than 2. I mean, so this is like a good powered kingdom, right? I mean, they ended up placing, I think when we did the top kingdoms for 225, they came in at number 19 on the list, and we can show you that here for where they ended up placing. And you see 21.475, right? We came out with this video yesterday. And so this is not a smallish kingdom. But why is this all impactful? Well, let's go ahead and read some mails here. So there was a mail that was sent out on the 22nd of August. So it was, 9, 10, 11-ish days ago. So we're going to read through this mail and this mail as kind of the 3 primary ones. So we'll probably skim certain parts, but this starts off with, as you can see, we return to Zone 4. Be proud that JGN, YGN, and NTS had to struggle against us for the past 7 days. I hope that through this KVK season, each of us have learned our own lessons about balling, using Discord, etc. We won't blame anyone because Fam IM has shown our weakness by being unable to attack both opponents at once. Now let's return to Zone 4 with our final mission to prevent JGN, YGN from stealing our behemoth. I don't want to see any toxic or negative members in Tamaris chat, I imagine, anymore, and any member with less than 2 million merits for the entire season will be kicked. Rally or have 3 days to migrate another home kingdom because this is Immortal Warriors and Alliance of Warriors who fight day and night, showing no mercy of the enemy, not an alliance for the weak to hide in. Okay, so we've covered, this is not anything, majorly new. We've covered these kinds of stories and announcements and situations before. However, there's nothing necessarily wrong with setting certain thresholds and having expectations or marks that you would like players to hit. However, and again, we don't know if this was done or not, because keep in mind, this is not an alliance mail, this is a kingdom mail, so it's applying to every single player in the kingdom. Now, the way that you would usually like to see something done like this is where you are notified of what is going to happen before the season starts. Meaning that my expectation, given the trend, the precedent that has been set, is that if you're going to announce these kinds of things early via Kingdom Mail, this means that I should be able to go through other Kingdom Mails before the season started, and I should be able to see, right, again, depending, or at least some mention before, if there was one that was sent, where I should be able to find a kingdom mail of you setting appropriate expectations of how things were going to play out for this season, and the fact that if people did not hit these marks, whether you set the mark specifically or you even just said kind of more broadly of that, well, depending on some players' performances, we may ask you to leave at the end of the season and you may be removed and potentially rallied or zeroed, so we can lower your individual influence that factors towards the total kingdom influence. So if you provided a mail beforehand, which would have been appropriate, then this is okay as a follow-up. If you did not set appropriate expectations with all the players in the kingdom, then this mail is completely inappropriate and is one of the things that can cause your leadership and the integrity of it to be called into question. Now, again, I don't know if it was or not. I'll leave that up to people that are there in the kingdom who are a part of any of these alliances, and then maybe we'll go through some kingdom mails once we finish to see if there is anything earlier. So it says you have 2 million miles for the entire season. You will be kicked, rallied, or have 3 days to migrate to another home kingdom because, as they said. So the part about kicked and rallied. Now this, again, isn't really anything new because we know that a number of kingdoms, at least at the top sets, are trying to lean out, meaning however they gauge, however they assess, however they collect data, they are trying to kind of trim fat. So people that are not high performers, if you will, or high contributors / consistent as well, are being either forced or asked to leave or delete troops perhaps, or again, being rallied and zeroed, right? So you can incur debts, or you can incur debt on the person you're attacking, right? Which again, some of those things will factor into lowering individual influence. That factors into kingdom influence. Then we get to the next part, which again is, I think, probably the most questionable one, is you have 3 days to migrate. This is a little bit rough because, one, the migration cooldown is not favorable at the moment. In my opinion, I believe it's 90 days on the cooldown. In my opinion, it should be 55 days or 60. It should be the length of a season, and then you should be able to have the opportunity to move from a season to season. Because keep in mind, you still either have to spend the money or you still have to save up permits, which again, the only people that are going to be more likely to move from season to season are going to be the people that spend money. And if they are consistently powering up, well, there's a chance that, again, kingdoms are being pretty smart now where they are lowering power, so that way everyone basically has to apply, and then they'll just raise the power cap to let certain people in. So they're kind of manipulating or doing kind of like a soft gating system, if you will. And this is really, in my opinion, the way that it should be done. I've said this before, and I'll consistently say this. The migration system needs to be a pure 100% across the board accept deny system. You can still have your special immigrations that are separate as they are, but for every single person that wants to go to a kingdom, you should have to apply, and then it should give kind of like a migration profile card or a resume, if you will. And whoever the king or queen is at the time, they can look at those. Then, of course, any of the appointed officials as well that would be relevant or able to look. So we get back to this whole 3 days to migrate. Well, let's just be honest, it's not enough time, right? Unless you were told beforehand, which applies to the same thing we said before. Were realistic and appropriate expectations set before the season started, where everyone effortlessly understood, and it was so crystal clear on what was going to happen and the amount of time you were going to have left? If it was, okay, this is just a follow-up. But if that's the case, why not write that in here? Why not write just as a reminder to what we said earlier in the season, right? We're letting everyone know once again, right, that you're either going to be kicked, rallied, or you'll have 3 days. However, that wasn't worded in here. So the way that this is worded makes me think that, at least at face value, that there could be a percentage there that goes more in favor of that appropriate expectations were not set earlier on. Okay, let's go to the next one. Thank you for accompanying the I Am family this season. As I said before, we will purge the weak death weight under 1.5 million merit this weekend, under 2 mil. And again, keep in mind, this has already happened, right? It says, as I said, right, the weekend, coming up to the weekend, I hope you don't trade merits to deceive us. People under 1.5 million merit, everyone is allowed to swap or rally and do what you like with that farmer. No matter what they migrate, you will lose. They will lose RSS. And most importantly, we will divide the clan into 2 clans. I am only international, not Chad VN in this clan. I am only VN, thanks. Okay, so I pulled some data real quick off of the merits board. Now, the merits board does apply in Hope Kingdom and KVK. However, whether it's at all times or sometimes, if you click on the profile, it'll show you what the true accurate merits are that are in KVK if you have a character in Home Kingdom. So because I have a character in Home Kingdom, when I go on the merits leaderboard, I'm going to click on their name and it'll show me what their real-time KVK merits are. So I went through the top 200 that are on merits right now. And based on that, there was 82 people that had lower than 2 million merits. There was 118, I should say, because it could be plus or minus 1. There was about 118 people that I would anticipate that had over 2 million merits, meaning if that is accurate and there's no one else we're missing, that means that you're going to have 118 players left over, and everyone else in all of the IM family alliances are going to be kicked. If that's the case, that doesn't really make sense because this should have already happened. And you can say this is this weekend and under 2 million end of the season. This weekend and under 2 million and under 2 million merits at the end of the season in both IM and IM clans. So it says this weekend, but do they mean the end of the season? If that's the case, then the season isn't over yet, right? You still have a little bit of ways to go. But it is just interesting that it feels like they're taking kind of this aggressive of a stance where you're going to be left with what, about 120 people, give or take? It's just, I mean, like, to me, that's just wild. So yeah, like I said, I don't know. Is it probably more than that? I mean, maybe, but I mean, if you look at merits, right, and you go down, you can easily see, right, everyone, and again, you'd have to click on everyone's name, but you can see here that 76 people that are under 2 mil merits, but if you click on them, you can see 2.29, right, 196, 197, over 2, 79 over 2, right? So you have to click on the name to really see it. And this could be the case with maybe some others, right? I would say 118 is a minimum number to go off of, but that's pretty steep. Now, let's get to the last mail. So the last one here says, and this is interesting. This was posted 3 days ago. Hello, I wish you all very happy. As I promised, tomorrow we will be the day we completely eliminate the dead weight. So, again, that would have been on the 1st, meaning yesterday, at least as of recording this video. We cannot prevent JG, YGN from and rebuild everything, so we will abandon Zone 3 and return to Zone 1. Please do not get me wrong, we are warriors. We play games to fight. But right now, I want us to solve the internal IMW problem first. Everyone on Zone 1 out today. Tomorrow, 9-1. Anyone under 1.5 merits will be kicked. All fam, and this is all fam, IM, right? So all of the alliances that we showed you on the alliance leaderboard and rally or forced to prepare to migrate in the next 7 days. So that's interesting. They originally gave people 3 days, right? If you remember here. I don't want to see any toxic Tamaris and any member, entire season will be kicked, or have 3 days to migrate to their home kingdom, right? But now they're giving you 7 days. Interesting. So some things changed there, at least based on what's written. So, right, in the next 7 days, I know, so that means that you would have, until the 7th of September, give or take? I know many people will be confused because someone will go. I respect everyone's decision at FAM IM, so do what you like and feel is right. Your life, your choice. This is just a game. I would like to be that now. Modify the detail of the clan fam and clan row systems. And here's the next thing that I find very interesting. We've all known that RSS selling has been a thing, and let's just say many kingdom builders. And though we do not, and I specifically do not promote RSS selling, it is something that plagues kingdom builders. And so I just wanted to take a brief moment to touch on it, because I do think there are some opportunities here where we could apply some solutions. And I also want to talk about the impact, at least briefly, about RSS selling and how it affects the game in more of a negative than a positive way. And we will start applying price protection systems. $1 in USD is going to equal 40 to 42 million fixed price. So that means you're going to pay $1 and you're going to get 40 to 42 million RSS. Avoid the situation where RSS price is higher than other servers and push the price too high, many farmers dead weight. So, number one, and I think this is just pretty obvious, given the changes to free and RSS healing, where it has been a recent trend that things are going more in the direction of RSS healing, and the fact that you can transfer resources with pretty much, no real hard limits, it makes it easier for something like RSS selling to become popular. And due to this, it also means that if you are at the top and you are not either able to gather enough resources to where it would sustain you for longer periods of fighting, you kind of have to, I don't want to say you kind of have to, but for people that choose to engage in this, what choice do you think they have at that point? I mean, you can kind of connect the dots there, right? And so, for me, one of the things that I think they can do is that, what I just think is a very simple solution. I think what they should do is make it so people can only RSS trade or send RSS assistance once you get to CH25. Meaning that if you want to do it, right, if you're CH24 and lower, you cannot send any RSS. You cannot transfer any RSS. You can receive, but you cannot transfer. So I would like to see that, where everyone has to be CH25. Maybe you could sell me on CH24 because of some of the difficulties in getting some, well, I guess it's other buildings really, if we're talking kind of like the Rally Beacon and the Watchtower. But 24, 25, I would like to see 25, because the likelihood that you're going to see farm accounts, right, / RSS selling accounts, right, that would apply in this realm, reaching level 25 would just take so long for them to do, and it would be less likely that you would see that happening as much. And at the same time, it doesn't negate the ability for people to RSS trade and transfer, especially when it's legit and it's real players, if you will, right, main accounts that are doing it for one another, which is, in my view, more justified compared to really what is just a very lax system on RSS trading. And so with that in mind, that's one of the ways that I would see an attempt to make a fix in that area that I very much feel could address this in a more positive way, where you're not just completely removing the feature, which is one option as well, depending on those that agree or disagree with that one. So yeah, this is my take on the 225 situation. Like I said, I don't know too much about what is going on. Oh, what would be interesting? Let's just look at some mails real quick. Let's go back to the first one. So let's just see. First 2 days. So this is pre-KVK training, right? Which is during Brink of War. Let's see. Do they mention anything about expectations for this season with hitting merits? Nothing there. Buff research. Veil Society quiz, Day 2 quiz, Day 3 quiz, Buff Train, 2 months, offline IMW Saigon. Oh, okay, maybe that's like a meetup or something. Eliminate language barrier. Hope you're all doing well. Concern, lack communication English is R4 to maintain. I don't see anything there. And we're pretty much, oh, here it is. So on the 17th, 5 days before that one was sent, We were doing very well, but we were carrying the farmer burden of the main alliance of FAM-IM with a desire for us to become stronger, more developed. I would give merit figures that must be achieved this season. Okay, so basically, the merits were sent out a month after. I mean, really these standards and expectations, if this was the only place they were sent, let's be very clear, because we don't know if they may have been sent earlier. These obviously should have been sent, if this is the only place, these should have been sent well over a month ago, right? A month and a half ago, right? Somewhere between a month and a half ago is when this should have been sent out with very clear expectations. And also, notice how nothing here says that you should start saving up permits, you should start buying permits, because there's the chance that you might get kicked and rallied. All it says is at least 2 million merits. So, again, on one hand, do you tell people ahead of time that these are things that can happen? Or do you just tell people this is a target to hit? You hope a lot of people contribute, and if they don't, then you know. You can kind of go about it one of two ways. However, I very much like just to be very transparent and very upfront, whether that's for people that already are native players that have existed in the kingdom, or if it's for people that are going to migrate in. Those are my thoughts. I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. Is this something that you're starting to see more of in your kingdom? Do you think there's better ways to go about what it appears at face value for how 225 did it? Are you okay with how they did it? Would love to hear what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below. That's going to do it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.